The highest yardage performance in the NFL to date this year, Jamar Chase. 11 for 266.
Right before the NFL season began, Jamar Chase said something that absolutely floored me. In response to getting questions about preseason drops, he said the NFL ball is different because it's bigger and it doesn't have the white stripes on the side, so you can't see the ball coming from the tip point. Now, if you're anything like me, that response was a screaming red flag for a player that seemed to be making excuses after having a tough time adjusting to the pros after opting out for a year. No other rookie wide receiver had brought up the difference in the ball. It just seemed like such an irrelevant point to make, dare I say, excuse. And a pile on top of that was the fact that opting out for a year meant he could have been practicing with the pro ball the entire time and should have had an advantage over all the other rookies in any ball differences. I had no problem with Chase as a prospect. Believe me, I was never that crazy. I thought him, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith were all deserving of top 15 selections because all three were stud receivers in college, and I loved watching them play. When it came to Chase, what he did with Joe Burrow was amazing. So in no way was I about to call him a bust, but when he said the ball thing and that him sitting on his butt in 2020 is why he needs an adjustment period, I started to get a little worried. And I wouldn't have been quite as worried if he wasn't the 5th overall selection in the draft. A draft where multiple stud offensive tackles went in the first round, and the Bengals had some serious worries on their O-line. And I had some serious worries about them protecting Burrow, who was coming off a season-ending injury. I could acknowledge, though, that adding another dynamic weapon would help Burrow get the ball out quicker, which in return would help the O-line. And when that weapon immediately has a history and past chemistry with Burrow, then the pick made sense. Still, if it were up to me, at the time I would have taken Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater. Now I'm happy to say Jamar Chase proved me wrong. He proved my theoretical draft choice wrong and put my preseason worries to bed. I don't care if he's had some drops in the regular season, cause overall he is as dynamite a rookie receiver I've ever seen. And it seems history would back that up as he's broken the rookie receiving yards record and is the favorite to become the 4th receiver to win Rookie of the Year this century. If you're wondering, the others are Odell, Percy Harvin, and Anquan Bolden. When it comes to Chase versus Mac Jones in the Rookie of the Year conversation, with people bringing up how a quarterback will always get the benefit of the doubt, I think it's funny how Chase had more yards receiving than Mac threw last weekend. I know it was just one day and obviously you can't give an award off that, but that is a cool stat. And I will say that I think Mac has been good this year, but I haven't seen him take over a game like Jamar Chase, even with Mac playing the more meaningful position. I have to admit, I do normally lean quarterback on awards, especially when it comes to MVP, but this year with Rookie of the Year, I think Chase deserves it over Mac. And that really is more of a compliment to Chase and not an insult to Mac in the slightest, because he's had a very impressive year as a rookie QB. Even if we ignore the fact that Chase is a rookie, he's already become one of the best receivers in the league and is taking over games like Randy Moss. That's what I was visualizing when I watched him shred the Chiefs. When the Bengals rely on him to beat corners in the air, he's shown he can win that battle. He can dominate outside as a deep threat, or what the Bengals have been doing more recently actually is lining him up in the slot, and he's shown he can produce there as well. Maybe most importantly, he was making the biggest plays when it mattered the most. He's looking a lot like he was in college with Burrow. You gotta remember that Chase was LSU's #1 receiver over Justin Jefferson that year, even though Chase was younger. He looked borderline unguardable back then, and he looked unguardable against the Chiefs. Not only an NFL defense, but an NFL defense that recently had been one of the best in the league. And to be honest with you, sometimes drops can be a bit overrated. That might be the lesson I'm going to take away from this. Several years ago, you'd hear all about Davante Adams' drop problem, and he didn't talk about the lines on a football, but he did one time shred his gloves after dropping multiple touchdowns. Deontay Johnson is another one who had a bit of a drop pattern, only for it to be fixed soon after. So with Chase leading the league in drops this year and still looking like a top 5 receiver in the league, oh boy, I can't even imagine what the future holds when 1, he gets some of the drops in check, and 2, Burrow continues to develop as a quarterback. Because with the way Burrow is playing right now, he looks like a guaranteed future MVP of the league. The last time these two were firing on all cylinders like they are now, they won a championship. Now that's an unfair expectation for a young Bengals core this year, but to me, this offense has the pieces to be a championship unit down the line. Before the season began, I figured Burrow would be in contention for Comeback Player of the Year. I personally thought Dak Prescott was going to end up winning it. Still, my belief in Burrow never really wavered. But I was wrong about another thing, even more so than any concern about Jamar Chase. And that was my confidence in Zach Taylor. I, like many others, predicted the Bengals to be under 500 this year, and I also did not think Taylor was going to survive as a head coach for much longer. These past few years, it felt like NFL owners were desperate to find the next Sean McVay, and with the hirings of Taylor and Brandon Staley, 2 guys forming the big branches of the McVay coaching tree, it's actually looking pretty good. And right now, it's clear Taylor's got that locker room feeling good, and feeling like they can beat anyone. Which is exactly what you want with the playoffs right around the corner. And looking back, even when Taylor's teams were terrible, they did always show some fight. Maybe it's a bit like David Culley's Texans teams right now. That roster is terrible, but they sure could put a scare on playoff teams because they'll play hard every week. Taylor's scheme has also guided Burrow into one of the NFL's most productive yet efficient quarterbacks. He deserves significant praise just like his players. So, do I think the Bengals will go 3 for 3 on Rookie, Comeback, and Coach of the Year awards? I actually don't, but I got them going 2 for 3. I don't quite have Taylor as my Coach of the Year because I think Vrabel deserves that for having an NFL high number of injuries on his team that included their best player, and still somehow looking like the number 1 seed in the conference. But Taylor certainly deserves consideration, especially with the Coach of the Year normally going to the one that outdoes expectations the most. Taylor has that box checked over Vrabel and LaFleur. So in the end, just wanted to get my messy reflections out on a Bengals team that has far outdone my expectations. As always, thank you for watching, and let me know what you guys think. Do you think Chase should win Rookie of the Year or Taylor Coach of the Year? Let me know in the comments below.
I heard Jamar Chase got the Jameis Winston eye surgery to see a ball with no stripes. The real Rookie of the Year is LASIK.